Okay, this is Moshe coming to you from Israel and the Galilee, where I've lived for many years. It's the 17th of May, it's a Shabbat, it's 7:07 in the morning, so I'm getting back on my early routine. I was targeting 6:30, but with all the dogs, and I couldn't quite get there that quick. So what we're going to cover today is a World War III update, what's going on, Pakistan, India, what Israel's up to, and everything's breaking loose with Israel right after Trump left, by the way. And that was what I was telling you was going to happen. And we'll talk about what will happen with Iran and Israel. And Israel attacked 150 targets in Gaza last night and yesterday. And Trump's negotiating with Libya to move 1 million Gazans over there for his gambling casino Gaza setup. And what else? We attacked the 3 ports in Yemen at the same time. We hit 150 targets in Gaza with airstrikes yesterday. And we destroyed the remaining 3 ports that the Houthis had. I did not hear of them rebombing the airport in Yemen, in Sana'a, probably because what they did was just, fill in the holes in the runway and have the planes land with like World War II behind enemy lines landing, probably just daytime without radar and, that kind of thing. So that's why I think we didn't bother doing it, because you could drop another 6 or 8 bombs and, even if you drop 15 bombs, what's it going to take? 3 days, 8 days, 12 days? They're going to fill the holes, repave it, That's not having a real airport, though. But the Iranians might be able to land a cargo plane with weapons in there, but if that was the case, Israel would have rebombed it. I don't think you're going to bring in a big cargo plane, but it remains to be seen. I don't understand why Netanyahu didn't do it. Maybe the Houthis saying they've restored the airport was just another lie, and they might be sending military planes to other countries to bring Yemen citizens back to Yemen. That was their complaint. But we didn't rebomb it. I'm not so sure the airport was reopened. Okay, and then we're going to get into a deep dive review of what country is the daughter of Babylon. Okay, and when I'm done, there's going to be people that are going to run away and say, oh, I don't want to hear this, But the ones that do listen to it are not going to have any doubt as to who it is. I'm going to give you so much evidence, so much. It talks about they're mad upon their idols. So I'm going to show you pictures of the idols of the country. Okay? And, we're going to learn the mystery city Babylon, who that is, what the name of it is. Some of you have heard this before from me, but it's going to be a good deep dive, and that's what we're going to do today. So, what I'm going to do now is check the live stream and make sure we got a live stream and that we have sound and picture and we have moderators. Something might have just happened. Wait a second. Let me look at this for a second. Okay, this just broke. So I haven't had time to get into it, but it says Afghanistan trucks enter India. Now, it didn't say military equipment. Afghanistan trucks with dry fruits into India. Okay. And the behind the story here is Afghanistan and Pakistan are enemies. So India is playing up to Afghanistan and letting them sell fruit in India. So they're trying to turn Afghanistan actively, I guess, against Pakistan. So you see, it's all stacking up. All right. When I saw the headline, I thought it was war vehicles, but it's not that. All right, let's go to the live stream and make sure we got a live stream. I gotta turn my sound up. I gotta turn my sound up. Okay, I'm gonna put my posts up real quick, giving people a chance to come in. Some people will leave, and they're not very interested, so let them leave. I'm not gonna worry about it. Something didn't work. Okay, try it again. It's going to be 105 degrees here today. That's extremely unusual, but it does happen. So I'm running the air conditioners already while the house is cold. So the house will be very cold by the time the heat hits midday. The crazy thing about this temperature is that tomorrow the high will be 94, which really is not unusual for us. A little on the high side, and then right after that it drops back to highs in the 80s, like mid 80s or 86 or something like that. So it's not a big heat wave, it's just a 1 day blast. The dogs are not going to like it. So they're going to be spending a lot of time inside. They can't stay out very long at those temperatures, 5 minutes and that's it. I mean, they start panting and, what you can do if you ever have to do this is you could hose your dogs off, which they probably will hate, and then they're good in heat, much longer. But I wouldn't go more than 10 or 12 minutes. All right, I'll get my email address up, and then we'll get going. That's just going to take a couple more seconds. Typo. Ah, that's what happens when I talk and type. Okay, being a Bible-believing site, all that New Testament, I'm going to do some praise. There is no God like Jehovah. 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 There is no Messiah like Yeshua. 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 Okay, so India and Pakistan, India is on the threatening level. Pakistan is saying they want a ceasefire, but as a precondition for the ceasefire talks, India has to turn the water on again for Pakistan. It's not completely diminished, it's partially reduced, and they need it to drink for industry and for their artificial irrigation. It's rather important for them to have the water, you know. So Modi has not said, okay, we'll give in on the water. He's talking about raising a heavy hand to them. Now, when you look at this in the natural, without the Bible and the spiritual things and the times we're in, it makes no sense, and they'll calm down and they'll both go about their merry way. But no, ceasefires don't work. The Russian-Ukraine thing fell apart rather rapidly. It's not working, and it's probably not going to work. It's going to go to war because of the end times. So you can't try to analyze it based on, what the militaries are like and the economy. That's not going to work. Okay? So they're probably regrouping. Russia's talking to Ukraine about a ceasefire. The best analysis that I heard on this is Putin just pulled 150 or so thousand new soldiers into his military. Well, you need time to train them. You can't just say, this is the trigger, this is the sight, this is the bullet, this is the clip, and, spend 3 days on the range and send them out. They'll get slaughtered. So America, when they drafted people for Vietnam, the people usually didn't wind up in Vietnam for about 10 months. They gave them the basic training, which I guess in different times it varied between 6 and 8 weeks, depending on the branch of the service. And then they would go to, depending what they were, if they were going to be a medical corpsman, they would, after basic, just take them to the medical school to learn to be a corpsman, a medic. If they were going to be communications, they'd go to that. If they were going to be truck motor repair or tank repair, or, but if they were going to be in a combat role, so the guys that were going to prepare the meals didn't necessarily, but at times they did. They had what's called advanced infantry training, where they had replicas of Vietnamese villages and, jungle type, and they would train them in what to expect, and it took quite a while, Some went airborne, it varied, but it wasn't, 12 weeks, okay? So in other words, you're a civilian, and then 12 weeks later they ship you to Vietnam. They didn't do that, okay? Now, Putin's in an emergency mode, so he might try to train them and put them into combat in 3 months. I don't know. The normal scenario would usually be 6 months. But, when countries get in a stressful war, and they're fighting for their lives, they abbreviate it. And then, what the what Germany did, and I think even Italy in World War II, they took people that were older, maybe up to 60 even. I don't think they went above 60. They probably didn't go over 55 or 50 even, but they took older people and they put them in and they made them guards for the prisoners of war. They had them working, low-key checkpoints. And, you take a 50-year-old, you put him in the military, you're not going to take him and put a 40-pound backpack on his back and give him a 10-mile march. They ain't going to hold up, believe me. Maybe 1 in, 10 or 1 in 20, but, they don't do that. So it would be superficial training, they probably had a reduced type of basic training. I knew a guy that was a neurosurgeon some years ago, and he was in the Army as a neurosurgeon. And he went to, or maybe he was just an MD when he went in, but they have a special basic training for medical doctors. Now, in that, they might have optometrists, podiatrists, other doctors, dentists, maybe psychologists or something like that. People that are not, and they're not very interested in them running around learning how to shoot machine guns and throw hand grenades, So they gave them a 6-week course, and I understand at night they would be able to go to a lounge and have a beer and play pool or ping pong or whatever, and talk. And they didn't run them ragged, and they went in and they got commissioned when they got sworn in. So the sergeants running the basic were working with officers, and they knew it, and they were very nice to them, They weren't calling, and they weren't telling them, "Oh, your name is, Mickey Mouse," or Gilda the Goose, or they were calling them maybe by their first name or something. They were very friendly to him, and they had to teach him how to shoot in case something bad happened, and they had to teach him, the what goes on with salute and marching. They had to learn all that kind of stuff, and they were very nice to him, So, something similar to that probably happened with the older people. So when the wars get bad, and it's been bad for Putin, they get desperate and they start cutting corners on training, Their thought is probably, well, we'll get them into combat, we'll get our, position more secure, and then we can pull them out, 10% at a time for another 6 weeks of training and, that kind of thing. And it winds up with disaster. Vietnam was a lot of dead and a lot of wounded, more wounded than dead, I think. But I wasn't there, but I knew many people that were, many, I mean a lot, And the ones that were in combat were, it was quite dangerous. Anyway, so that's what Putin is probably trying to cook up with a ceasefire. He has so far grabbed about 20% of Ukraine, but he's taking heavy losses, and so is Ukraine. Nobody's running around saying they got to bring humanitarian aid into Ukraine, is there? No, they don't care. They want to support the enemies of Israel. That's why they're all screaming they want humanitarian aid for Israel. It doesn't go on anyplace else. I don't know anywhere where it goes on. There's people starving for real in other countries. Sudan's a mess right now. No humanitarian aid that I know of. Okay, so the situation with Ukraine and Russia ain't going anywhere good. India and Pakistan, what China told us is this new jet they gave to Pakistan is what you would call a 4.5 generation, not a 5th generation, because it's not really stealthy, but it's quite a dangerous jet. And it actually took down 3 Raphael jets. Now, I have not done a comparison between the Raphael jet and the F-35, but from what I know, the Raphael is not a stealth jet. So you can't say they can take out F-35s or F-22s or B-1s or B-2s with this, So what happens if China decides to give 50 of these to Pakistan? Well, looking at the numbers, they would. I think they also took out a MiG-29 that India had and maybe an F-16. There was 5 jets they took out quite efficiently. But that doesn't mean they're going to take out the advanced, F-35s. That doesn't mean that at all. It doesn't mean they're going to take out the partially stealth F-16s either. They take F-16s and they put the fuselage coating from the F-35 that makes it stealthy on the F-16. Now, to make that work, the F-16 can't be hanging extra fuel tanks and bombs under the fuselage in the wing because that defeats the stealthiness. But if they just put up with the weapons they could stick inside the plane, then they'll have a degree of stealth, not like an F-35, but a pretty good degree anyway. So it might not work against those. But like an F-18, an F-15, and probably the Chinese jet would be a very dangerous airplane to confront. We don't know how it would prevail yet, but so that thing's not over. If you hear Modi say, okay, we're turning the water back on, we'll try peace, they might do it. I understand they do have a ceasefire till the 18th, which is tomorrow. And India's grouping and probably going to go back. My take, okay? Let's see what happens. So Trump finished his tour in the Middle East, and right after he left, going back with perhaps $3 trillion worth of deals for investment in the U.S. And for the first time, the American economic situation was downgraded by, I think it's Moody's that does that. So the bond yield changed. They downgraded it for the first time ever. That's odd. Trump didn't like that. So the Trump went back, feeling rather heroic about things, and now what happened right after he left, and I told you this would happen. We hit Gaza by air 150 targets. Now, that's a lot, okay? When we hit Yemen yesterday, we sent 15 jets, and they hit 3 ports. Those were the remaining ports that the Houthis could use to bring weapons and military equipment and supplies in. The major port was hit badly. So now they're out of ports, and their airport is accordingly not functioning, but they're saying it's functioning. But Israel jets were flying over there yesterday, and they didn't bother dropping a few bombs on the airport. So whatever they did to the airport, I think it was, like you watch a World War II movie and some British plane with spies and equipment for the resistance in occupied France flies in at night or something, right? And the resistance is out in some field somewhere in the woods, right? And when the plane gets close, the plane has its lights out, of course, and they have no transponder. back then, and the plane is looking for the runway, and they have radio communications, and the guys on the ground in the resistance light a bunch of torches to show the plane where the runway is, right? And then the plane lands in the dark on the runway. There's no radar, there's no control tower, there's no nothing, right? And then the resistance um, runs out to the plane, and they take the passengers off, new spies. They send wounded spies or spies that are going back for training or recirculation or rest and recovery or whatever. They go back on the plane. They take the equipment off. This happens in a mere few minutes, right? And then the aircraft turns around. Maybe they help turn it around, and it goes and takes off and goes out into the night, and it's gone. It goes back to the UK, right to England. All right. So I think that's the kind of airport they set up. Maybe a little more elaborate than having to put fire pots out to, illuminate the runway. They might be able to have portable lights and, things like that. And they probably have radios, that they could communicate to aircraft with. And so I don't think America's or Israel's that worried about it, but let's see what happens. We may go back and hit the airport again tomorrow. We don't know. I don't know. Maybe they just decided they wanted to focus on the piers yesterday and make sure that's done. And then if that's done, then they're going to go get the airport. Now, Israel government said that the Houthis are trying to, I don't know what you want to call it, a blockade or, siege, blockade. They're trying to scare the airlines, which they've done a good job of, from landing or taking off from Ben Gurion Airport. And the way they're doing that is by shooting missiles towards Ben Gurion, the airport. The aircraft was supposed to start flying again on the 15th, but they postponed it to 28th or 29th or something like that. Not every airline stopped flying. There are some that fly, but a lot of them stopped. Okay. We have an alternate airport down in Levi that could be used, but they're not doing that because that's even closer to Yemen. So that's more dangerous to the airlines. Now, it might not have been the airlines, it might have been their insurance carriers, it might have been both. I don't know. The Houthis basically told them they're issuing a no-fly zone over the airport. As long as the Houthis continue to attempt to hit Israel with missiles, and the missiles enter Israel airspace, which some of them have, they get taken down. Then the airlines are hesitant. And Netanyahu's plan is to eliminate any realistic avenues for Iran to bring more missiles in. So you destroy the airport that the Houthis had control over, and you get the ports, and that's been done. But the airport may need weekly bombings. I don't know. There's a reason why Netanyahu didn't hit the airport yesterday. It probably was they don't have much of an airport operating. They're just saying they do. a cargo plane laden with missiles and weapons is going to come in heavy, and it's going to need a substantial smooth runway to stop the plane. So since Israel has been destroying the port in Iran and, numerous other sites with explosions and breaking into fire, Israel might wait for an Iranian plane to land and then blow it up on the ground. And that might cool Iran's jets. They're not afraid to do that at this point. Now, this is going to tie into the Bible study later in the broadcast. Netanyahu and Trump together have approached Libya. And they're asking the Libya regime to accept 1 million Gazans. That's half of Gaza. And Trump is saying this. There's a large amount of money being frozen by America. I think it goes back to Gaddafi in Libya. Billions, I think. I'm pretty sure. And it's been frozen for years through the sanctions. And Trump is negotiating with the release of the sanctions to Libya if they take in 1 million Gazans. Now, Libya is a Muslim country. The leader of Libya is in dire straits. He's facing violent overthrow, civil war. Turkey has come in to help Libya. What a coincidence. Remember, Trump said him and Turkey are good buddies, Erdogan. So I think he's using Erdogan. And I think Erdogan might be more just a big mouth barking about how he wants to kill Israel than actually doing anything. So because they're talking about this, it means that Libya's trying to work details out with them. When a country's leader is facing a civil war overthrow, grabbing billions of dollars of money as a windfall, like one day you got billions more than you had the day before, goes a long way. He'll probably want to buy weapons, and he'll probably want to also, maybe not so much on the weapons, but he'll want to probably start doing social programs, things to calm the population down, enhance his secret police so they can purge the ones that want to overthrow the government more effectively, this type of thing. Maybe it's not just a matter of buying tanks and, it's more maybe fixing the economy, When the economy is good, civil war is pretty hard to get going. People are more inclined to just kick back and, the refrigerator is full. We got a car that works. We got gas in the tank. The lights are on. The internet is on. They're happy. Yeah. Now, there's 2 million that have to get moved out of Gaza. So they're obviously talking to other countries. I don't know who they are. They were talking to Sudan and other countries, in Africa on the Red Sea, and I'm not sure where it's going, but I imagine Netanyahu and Trump have a team of people working on it. So Trump and Netanyahu were working on this together, and they certainly didn't reveal that until Trump's visit was over. Trump is now using clever words. He's saying, we want to make Gaza a free zone. Well, what he means is we're going to make it a duty-free zone so people could sell their goods in Gaza without any taxes. Something like Dubai, but there's a little bit of taxes in Dubai. It doesn't probably mean no taxes to steal the business. And why would Trump want to do that? Well, when his family and his friends set up their gambling casino resorts and amusement parks and other stuff in Gaza, that's his plan. It's never going to happen. That's his plan. Then if you have a really good duty-free zone, people are going to be more encouraged to go there because they'll be able to go into probably 2 or 3 large malls that are going to sell luxury goods duty-free. So you'd be able to buy a Chanel purse, expensive perfume, expensive shoes, jewelry, watches, many things. And what people have a tendency to do is, let's say they buy a necklace, right? And it's $80,000. Well, the necklace with the duties, another country might be $98,000 or something like that, or $110,000. Then they'll just bring it back to America and say it was theirs. They left with it, Now, customs could call them in and where you buy this, you have a receipt, but they're probably not going to do that. Trump's not going to want customs to go do a blitzkrieg purge on people coming back from this fantasy resort he wants to build because it would ruin it. Their plan is probably to create, 25 or 50,000 jobs for Israelis. But what Trump's doing is he's taking land that belongs to Israel and putting it under America's control. That Jehovah's not liking. Okay. He went to Saudi Arabia. He went to the UAE, and he went to Qatar. All these countries are in Greater Israel. From the Euphrates to the Nile, they're all in Greater Israel. So Trump is absolutely against the Bible and against God's plan. Now, he has no fear of God. Netanyahu's going along with it. So he wants to give Israel's land away too. She's not for us. She's not for the God of Israel. He's for the enemy. So we're sending evacuation notices to the people in the north of Gaza to go down to the south, and then more bombing will ensue, more apartments and houses and buildings will be destroyed, and they'll have no place to return to. And the north is where Hamas and the terrorists are concentrated. So once you remove the civilians from there, then it's bombs away, followed by a ground invasion, and that's the end of Hamas. Since the people's houses are destroyed, along with the streets, no parking meters, no parking, the roads are broken, the water's not flowing, the gas isn't flowing, no traffic lights, no electricity, there's nothing to go back to, and Trump will say it's cruel to keep you here, go to Libya. And technically, that's not forcing them to go to Libya, but it is, in a way, okay? Now, so first you have the bombings to encourage the evacuations. Now you're getting into the evacuations to the south of Gaza. Then comes more very, very substantial bombings, okay? And after that, the ground troops come in and mop up. That's it for Gaza, for Hamas. That's it. Now, most people are saying Israel's going to mop up Gaza first and then attack Iran. Well, you need to understand here, you got to understand how the Middle East works before you accept that. Remember yesterday we hit Yemen and Gaza heavily at the same time. Okay. Do the same thing to Iran. You see, tanks, artillery, mortars, soldiers, armored personnel carriers, Humvees, all of this stuff is not necessary for Iran, because it's just going to be aircraft. We don't need that many airplanes to attack Gaza. We got over 300 war aircraft. We don't need that many, The basic F-16s can handle the attacks. Gaza has no ground-to-air defenses to worry about. So they fly to Gaza, drop their payload, fly back, refuel, pilot gets a cup of coffee, goes to the bathroom, gets a sandwich, whatever, right? They check the plane over, fuel it up, put more weapons on. Pilot goes back, does it again. Flies back to the base, same thing happens. Or maybe they rotate pilots, Flight time is mere minutes. It's easy. So yeah, we could attack Iran at the same time. Why would we want to do that? Because when the Iranians see the absolute destruction of Hamas, that it's never going to bounce back again, that their proxy is dead with rigor mortis, they may decide it's time to attack Israel if they have the capability to reach that far. I don't think they have the radar, but I would not be surprised if Israel starts attacking Iran any day now. Now, we're not going to blow their nuclear facilities up. We know we can't. They're not going to blow up the missile cities. They might be able to reduce their efficiency, maybe. I don't know. But they're definitely going to go start by taking out radar in Iran. After the radar is gone, and we open up corridors with no radar, then we're free to run around and do what we want. Now, Israel might take out the Iranian radar and go home and leave them like sitting ducks for some weeks or months as a way of keeping them from attacking. I don't know how long this next operation is going to be in Gaza. Netanyahu has a lousy habit of dragging things out so he can keep ducking his criminal cases. But I think with Trump bearing down on him, he's going to be more or less interested in getting rid of Hamas quickly so Trump could get on with Gaza. So I don't know. But don't be surprised if we attack Gaza heavily and Iran at the same time. Now, some of the countries that Trump visited may get upset at getting the people out of Gaza. And Trump will just say, what am I going to do? It's Netanyahu doing it, not me. And Netanyahu is, destroying the place, and it's not humane to keep him there. You got to get him out. It's 5 to 10 years to rebuild it. All those heat waves and summer rains, living in a tent. Come on, you got to get him out. So with Libya, Trump found a way to get it done where he doesn't have to pay out of pocket to do it. So this is a mess. We're hitting Hezbollah practically daily. Small hits, sometimes a big ammo depot or a big facility of Hezbollah. We're not hitting Syria anymore. There's actually negotiations between Israel and Syria. We're not hitting Iraq because they're not stirring the pot. And so where our focus is Gaza, Yemen, and Iran. Okay? Being the year of recompenses, Israel is coming out of this in very good shape, But Israel is not tolerating the Houthis keep trying to lob missiles on us. I think Netanyahu is going to keep pounding them maybe a few times a week until they give up, but they're not going to give up until they have nothing to. You see, if they're dead, they give up, so to speak. They stop. If they don't have any weapons, which is the case with Hezbollah, basically, well, not literally, but pretty much the case. If that's the case with Hamas, they stop. And if they want to surrender, what they got to do is turn the hostages in. You see, you can't call yourself a victim like Hamas does with the genocide and all that because they won't return the hostages. And they've tortured them. If they want the fighting to stop, they got to return the hostages. Okay? Then the leaders have to leave Gaza forever. Okay. Let's see if we got any questions in the live stream. Thank you for everyone that's given me greetings, and thank you to the moderators. I greatly appreciate you, and you alleviate a tremendous amount of burden for me. So many thanks. Okay. Let's go back and see what I didn't tell you in current events. My notes here. It looks to me that Libya is going to take these people back. I have a feeling that's going to be, but then it's never going to. I mean, it doesn't really add up to prophecy though. So it's probably never going to go into action. It may get done on paper or something, but I don't think it's going to go into action. So there we are, and so in quick summary, Pakistan and India seem to still be like wars on. Turkey and China are going to back Pakistan, which is very bad for India. It looks like Afghanistan will help India. America's definitely going to help India. And I'm not sure who else will. If this goes down, I would say it's going to be a lot like Ukraine, Russia. Nobody's going to win. They're just going to keep knocking each other's lights out. That's what I think will happen. Oh, there'll be border incursions. There'll be occupying the other guy's land, and then there'll be a counter fight if there were, many things like that. But I don't think you're going to see anybody come out on top as a winner, just like Ukraine and Russia. There's not going to be. This is not about allowing. A country to run around and become a conqueror. That's not God's plan here. We're not going to have a winner in this war. It's just not going to happen. All right. So where do we start? Let's start with Zechariah 2, the daughter of Babylon. Okay? Zechariah 2 is one of the less known and less taught prophecies about the daughter of Babylon, okay? Why did I get 3? I don't want 3. This iPad has got sensitivity issues with the screen. It drives me crazy. Supposed to, if you slide it, go back. There we go. Okay, Zechariah 2, verse 1. I lifted up my eyes again and looked, and behold, a man with a measuring line in his hand. Then said I, whither goest thou? And he, or where are you going? And he said unto me, to measure Jerusalem, to see what is the breadth thereof, and what is the length thereof. See, after redemption, Jerusalem we expanded in size quite a bit. Okay? Most people don't know that, but that's what happens. And behold, the city just expands, within Israel, of course, And behold, the angel that talked with me went forth, and another angel went out to meet him. So one angel has another angel's coming to meet him, to talk to him, and said unto him, run, speak to this young man, saying, Jerusalem shall be inhabited as towns without walls, for the multitude of men and cattle therein. See, right now, there's a lot of walls around Jerusalem, the old city, Now, who is this young man? What is it, some 14-year-old kid or 20-year-old guy walking down the street whistling because he's going to go home and have lunch or something like that, right? And angels just run over and start talking to him? No, who is it? Well, it's one of the 2 judges of Israel. It would be either Enoch or Elijah, the 2 witnesses, because they're going to be running Israel as judges. That's in Isaiah 1. You can glean that, and Zechariah 12. So they're going to be running and telling this guy that, what are they telling him? And said unto him, run, speak unto this young man. They're going to be young again because God's going to give them the everlasting life, probably before the appearing of Yeshua in the clouds, saying, Jerusalem shall be inhabited as towns without walls. Now, let's check the Hebrew. We got 1, 2, 3. We got 4 English words for one Hebrew word. And the Hebrew word is, what does it mean in English? That's the question, is paratz, pratzah, maybe you pronounce it pratzah. But what's the meaning in English? That's the challenge here. Let's see what Strong's does with it. Open. Open versus fenced or walled in, right? Okay, so that's 4 words for 1 word. So it's saying here, Jerusalem shall be inhabited. Let's check that. Dwelled in. Well, it may not mean that. Let's see. I think they got it pretty close, but let's see. Remain, you could say dwelled in. It's a little bit off, I think, but Jerusalem dwelled in, and then it says open. So it's not fenced in. And then it says for the multitude of men and cattle therein. All right. So they didn't miss it by much, but that's what it's saying in Hebrew. Okay, verse 5. For I, saith Jehovah, will be unto her a wall of fire round about, and will be the glory in the midst, in the middle of her. Okay. Now, this is, if you're following, the Schofield Darby Bibles and some of the goofy churches, you're not going to understand what this really means, but I can explain it to you without much trouble. When the glory of God of Israel was with Moses and Aaron in the wilderness, right, what did he do? During the day, he made a pillar of smoke that would block the sun. So while they were in the desert areas in the south there, the Israelites wouldn't bake in the sun. It wouldn't be 105 degrees. If you were a couple of miles away from the pillar of smoke, maybe it was 110, 120, or 102, or whatever. But they were probably, a good 20, 30 degrees cooler than that. Now, in the desert at night, the temperature can drop a lot because it's all wide open and the heat escapes, right? So he would be a pillar of fire, so the pillar would come up with fire and keep them warm during the night. Okay, now we got to open this up a little further for you. For I, saith Jehovah. Now, I've told you guys this, and I got to remind you here. There's times when the Bible refers to the glory of God of Israel, which is an angel that God put his name in. His name is Jehovah. Now, that verse is found in Exodus 23, verse 20. I will read it to you. This is generally never taught at all because they don't want you to understand how to interpret the Bible. If you got a better reason for it, let me know. If you want to say they're just too stupid and they don't know it, well, then I'll come back at you and say they're blind, and then I'll tell you if the blind follow the blind, they both fall in a ditch, except the word for ditch isn't ditch, it's pit. A little bit more serious, okay? So if you're following somebody, like a pastor or something, that doesn't know the reality of the scriptures, he's blind or she's blind, worse yet, and you follow that person, you're going to go into the pit with them, not the ditch, the pit. It means pit, not ditch. They softened the word so you wouldn't get the full meaning here. It means you're going to hell with them, okay? Exodus 23, verse 20, Behold, I send an angel before thee to keep thee in the way. Yeah, remember, they would set the tabernacle up and camp until the glory of God of Israel would start moving. And then when they saw him moving, they would break camp, collapse the tabernacle, which is portable, and the Levites were the only ones that could touch it and carry it. And they would carry it, and when the glory of God of Israel, who's Michael, the highest angel, would stop, then they would make camp again. Okay? You might remember that. Behold, I send an angel before thee to keep thee in the way. So they didn't wander where they weren't supposed to be. And to bring thee into the place which I have prepared. It's actually the next verse, verse 21. Whoops, I missed the verse, sorry. Beware of him. Now, that word beware is shemer. It's not exactly poorly translated, but it's probably better stated. All right, you could go with aware, I guess. Okay. Beware of him and obey his voice. Provoke him not, for he will not pardon your transgressions, for my name is in him. Now, the word for in him is karev. It's translated sort of okay, really. What it's saying is in the center of him. It's inside the center of him, inside him. Now, what is the center of the human body? It's called the pupik. It's your belly button. What's the center of Israel? Jerusalem. Okay. But think about it. Where's the center of your body? Your belly button. And get a tape measure if you want, but you're going to see it's the center of your body. Okay. My name is put in the midst of him. Okay. Now, that's the glory of God of Israel. It goes on and says, but if thou shalt indeed obey his voice and do all that I speak, then I will be an enemy unto thine enemies and an adversary unto your adversaries. For my angel shall go before thee and bring thee in unto the Amorites and the Hittites, the Perizzites and the Canaanites and the... Okay. So, the glory of God of Israel is, I would assume, Michael, the highest angel. Now, to understand a little more about him, we got to go to Acts 7:55. Now, I know they don't teach this in the church, but where am I getting all this from? Am I telling you dreams and visions, or am I reading it right out of your own Bible to you? Acts 7:55. But he, this is the stoning of Stephen. Stephen was not an apostle, but he was a good guy, and God liked him. Okay. But he, being full of the Holy Spirit, looked up steadfastly into heaven. So the Spirit came upon him. He was about to get killed by stoning. So he was going to become a martyr, and God was going to be very merciful to him. So he looked up into heaven and saw the glory of God. That's Michael, the angel, that God put his name Jehovah in. So let's start a count. Stephen, full of the Holy Spirit. That's one, the Holy Spirit. The glory of God, that's two. And Yeshua standing. Now, Yeshua makes three, standing on the right hand of God. That makes four. I'll recount. Stephen, full of the Holy Spirit. One, looked up into heaven and saw the glory of God. That's two. And Yeshua, that's three, standing on the right hand of God. That's four. So this would be the highest angel. He's hanging out with Yeshua and Jehovah. What do you think? Come on. That's the glory of God of Israel. He's a very high-ranking figure in Bible. Okay? We'll go back to Zechariah 2. Am I around verse 6 or something? Let's find out. So he's going to be a wall of fire around Israel. So there's no need to build walls anymore. Now, remember, he told the Israelites, if you listen to this angel, he's going to be an enemy to your enemies. Okay. Now, that means you got to follow the law, is what he's basically saying. So, it was this angel that met with Moses on Mount Sinai, I'm quite sure. I know they say it was Yeshua and all that, but I believe it was the glory God of Israel. Okay. And I can't. If someone wants to say it's Yeshua, I'm not going to go, have a fight with them. I mean, we're not told specifically. I could revisit it, but I believe it's the glory of God of Israel. It doesn't say Yeshua. So, there's another scripture that says he's the rock, but it doesn't say he's the glory of God of Israel. Okay, so anyway, I don't believe Yeshua was down on earth for such a long period of time with the Israelites. That's one reason. It would be in the scripture for it. But anyway, now it gets rather interesting. Okay. So that's the glory of God of Israel that goes in the temple and is with Israel. And then when you read Ezekiel 8-11, which is Gog and Magog, the same as the whole book of Joel, the same as Zechariah 14, it's the same as Ezekiel, 38 and 39. Ho, ho, come forth and flee from the land of the north, saith Jehovah, for I have spread you abroad as the four winds of the heaven, saith Jehovah. Now, when it says come out from the north, it's not talking about Canada, north of Israel. Now, that is highly unspecific. It could be Lebanon, it could be Turkey. Russia is not really north of Israel. It's over north and then east. So you could pin it on any of these countries. It's not definitive enough here for us to know. He doesn't want us to know. So it says, ho, ho, come forth and flee from the land of the north. Now, we'll break it down, and the word for land is land. Eretz, Eretz is the land. And it says from. So what it really is saying here, from the land, is actually very correct. From the land. And then it says of the north, and Saphon. Northerly direction is, north. But what does Strong say about this word? Strong says properly hidden, that is dark, used only of the north as a quarter, an unknown north sideward. So he says hidden, that is dark. It's probably talking about the 10 lost tribes, as they like to call them. The Bible never says lost tribes, the people do, which are to some extent probably Muslims due to forced conversions over the many centuries and don't know who they are. And then God wakes them up. Okay? So Ho, ho, come forth and flee from the land of the north. It could maybe mean the land of darkness, or it's highly unspecific. Flee from the northerly direction, or, saith Jehovah, for I have spread you abroad as the four winds of the heaven, saith Jehovah. Deliver thyself, O Zion, that dwelleth with the daughter of Babylon. Now, do you know what country has just about as many known Jews in it as Israel? I do. America. 6.5 million known Jews versus 6.6 million in Israel. Does that tell you something? Now, how many Jews are in the Vatican? None. How many people live in the Vatican? Well, honestly, it varies depending on the year and what's going on. Between 200 and 300 people. They're all members of the Catholic operation there, right? That's it. That's who lives there. 200 to 300 people. So how is that the daughter of Babylon? Well, it makes no sense. There's no Jews there. Now, let's talk about the other likely candidates for the daughter of Babylon, which is Mecca and Medina, both in Saudi Arabia in the desert. Are there any Jews living there? Well, there's very few people living there to start with, let alone any known Jews. They could be lost tribes, but as you'll see later, it fails the test to be the daughter of Babylon on many counts. Can it be England or something like? Well, now you're just throwing stuff up against the wall to see if it's there. There's no reason to consider England. Okay, we'll get into that deeper. For the biggest concentration of Jews from Judah, that's what a Jew would be, Yehuda, Yehudi is Jew, okay. So, no reason for it. So, to count it, to consider England. So, there's just about as many, until a year or so ago, they had as many Jews in America, known Jews, as there are in Israel. Okay? Deliver thyself, O Zion, that dwellest with the daughter of Babylon. For thus saith Jehovah of hosts, after the glory hath he sent me unto the nations which spoiled you, for he that toucheth you toucheth the apple of his eye. The apple of the eye is the pupil of the eye. It's like sticking your finger in his eye. Okay? You got to remember that when you're interpreting end times. These big end times events are going to be triggered by what's going on in Israel, not Pakistan and India, not Ukraine and Russia, not Taiwan and China or North and South Korea. Okay? Get your focus straight. For behold, I will shake my hand upon them, I guess it's like something like this. I don't know. That's the human expression, but when he does it, I guess it's got heavy consequences. For behold, I will shake my hand upon them, and they shall be a spoil to their servants. And you shall know that Jehovah of armies hath sent me. I guess this is the glory of God of Israel, who you could call Jehovah, and at times he's referred to as Jehovah because God put his name in this angel. So he could accept the offerings in the next temple or in previous with the tabernacle because he's representing Jehovah by having his name in him. Sing and rejoice, O daughter of Zion. For lo, I come, and I will dwell in the midst of thee, saith Jehovah. Then that is, Father God Jehovah is not going to come down and dwell in the midst of us, but the glory of God of Israel, who he put his name in, will. You see, if God puts his name in him, which is Jehovah, and then he's referred to as Jehovah, what's the problem here? And many heathen shall be joined to the Lord in that day, and shall be my people. The heathen, of course. If they're in Yeshua, that's the only thing that counts. And I will dwell in the midst of them, and that's Jerusalem is the middle of Israel. That's where the glory of God of Israel will be. And thou shalt know that Jehovah of armies had sent me unto you. Now, when it says Jehovah of armies, or hosts, that's Father God Jehovah. And Jehovah shall inherit Judah, his portion in the Holy Land, and shall choose Jerusalem again. Be silent, O all flesh, before Jehovah, for he is raised up out of his holy habitation. Yeah, he's going to come down with Yeshua for the appearing of Yeshua in the clouds, seated on his right hand. Because Psalm 110:1 says, the Lord said to my Lord, what was it again? I usually know that one by heart. Hold on. The Lord said to my Lord, sit thou at my right hand until I make your enemies your footstool. Well, Yeshua's enemies will not be made his footstool when he appears in the cloud. It would be too early in the cloud. Okay. So I'm setting the stage. Now we'll go to Jeremiah 50. Now, I'm going to structure this in such a way you're going to have no doubt about it. Unless you're just dead bent, you're never going to admit it because you live in America. If you live in America, you're going to be having to push yourself to believe the scriptures and not want to lull yourself to sleep by thinking you can't be America. Okay. Verse 1, Jeremiah 50. The word that the Lord spake against Babylon and against the land of the Chaldeans by Jeremiah the prophet. Declare you among the heathens, and publish and set up a standard, publish and conceal not, say, Babylon is taken, Bel is confounded. Bel was one of the idols from the original Babylon. The word Babylon is not in any of the Bible texts in the Hebrew. It's Babel, which means confusion. And they, for some reason, they turned it into Babylon. I don't know why. And when it says Babylon is taken, that word is 3920, lakad. And it really means captured or seized. Captured. Okay? They're softening it for you. Okay? And they shouldn't be doing that. Babylon is captured. Bel is confounded. Merodach, another one of their idols from the old Babylon where Iraq is now, is broken in pieces. Her idols are confounded. Her images are broken in pieces. For out of the north there cometh up heathens against her, or a heathen nation against her, which shall make her land desolate, and none shall dwell therein. They shall remove, they shall depart. They shall depart, both man and beast. So the beasts are going to leave. What's up with that? I don't know. Does that mean you're going to be going out with cattle and horses, or going out with your cat and dog and bird? I don't know. In those days and in that time, saith Jehovah, the children of Israel shall come, they and the children of Judah together, going and weeping, they shall go and seek Jehovah Elohim. So, in those days, in that time, is the next great Exodus. How convenient, because when the Lord tells the believers to get out of the daughter of Babylon, so they don't get punished with the daughter of Babylon, how convenient it's already the great Exodus going on. So Yeshua already appeared in the clouds, and the people have everlasting life. And that's why all of a sudden these people, like the lost tribes and stuff like that, are going to go and seek Jehovah Elohim, because they know what's going on now and who they are. And the true believers with no Israelite bloodline or origin are going to also want to go. They know, and they're going to want to go seek Jehovah. And this could be referencing the glory of God of Israel in the temple in Jerusalem. They shall ask the way to Zion with their faces thitherward. Guys, if you're in America, it's east. Okay. Roughly east of what? Probably Orlando would be kind of a straightish line to Jerusalem. Tallahassee, Florida is kind of in line with Tiberias, which is north of Jerusalem. So maybe Orlando or Gainesville or something would be more in line with Jerusalem, if that helps you. Say, come, and some of you guys, just get yourself a compass. I don't know what a compass costs on Amazon. I imagine a nice one is $5 or $10. You'd probably get a junky one for 99 cents, but you probably want to get a good one. And you can, probably print maps off the internet, right? For the price of paper and ink. I mean, if it came to it, I don't think God's going to let the people flounder. They'll know where to go, That shall ask the way to Zion with their faces thitherward. So they're going to turn their faces to the east, where the temple is, where Jerusalem is. Now, other people are going to be coming from other directions. If you're in the UK, you're going to be kind of south with a westerly bend to it. It just depends where you're coming from, okay? Come and let us join ourselves to Jehovah in a perpetual covenant that shall not be forgotten. Perpetual covenant, everlasting life, covenant. What happens when they're in the wilderness before they get to Israel in the next great Exodus? They pass under the rod and enter into the bond of the covenant. Okay? That's in Ezekiel 20, starting in verse 33, towards the end. My people hath been lost sheep. Their shepherds have caused them to go astray. So, if you want to learn more about the destruction of the bad ones in Israel, as per Zechariah chapter 13, 8, and 9, when two-thirds get cut off, you can read Ezekiel 34. The whole chapter discusses that. My people have been lost sheep. Their shepherds have caused them to go astray. That's the Talmudic rabbis. They have turned them away on the mountains. It would also be the government of Israel, because they take the role on that normally would be by shepherds, by Levites and stuff. So they're involved too in a bad way. Turned them away on the mountains. They have gone from mountain to hill. They have forgotten their resting place. That means they don't come to Israel. Only a small amount of the known Israelites are in Israel, plus the 10 lost tribes, so to speak, are not here either. All that found them have devoured them. And their adversaries said, we offend not, because they have sinned against Jehovah, the habitation of justice, even Jehovah, the hope of their fathers. Remove out of the midst of Babylon, that's America, and go forth out of the land of the Chaldeans. The Chaldeans were basically witches, astrologers in old Babylon. And be as the goats before the flock. The goats are more aggressive than the lambs, okay? For lo, I will raise and cause to come up against Babylon an assembly. Let's check that word. Let's see what Strong's uses for English for that word. Assemblage. Yeah, okay. It's a group, To come against Babylon, an assembly or a group of great heathen nations from the north. So it's a group of heathen nations coming at America from the north, probably meaning the north of Israel, or is it the north of America? Well, there's no assembly of nations north of Israel, it's just Canada, so it's from north of Israel. Could it include Iran? Yeah. A lot of countries. Okay. From the north country, and they shall set themselves in array against her. From thence she shall be taken or seized. Their arrows shall be as a mighty expert man. None shall return in vain. Probably the arrows are missiles. Unless all the weapons are gone, then there would be arrows. And Chaldea shall be a spoil for all that spoil her. They shall set themselves in array against her. From thence she shall be taken, their arrows shall be as of a mighty expert man, and none shall return. And the Chaldeans shall be a spoil. All that spoil her shall be satisfied, saith the Lord. It can mean all that destroy and ruin her, but they come to take a great spoil. So it's loot, plunder, and pillage. They're going after, they're going after the wealth. That's their reward for destroying the daughter of Babylon that you'll see God sets up. Because now you're going to have to make up your mind. Either you're going to be with God and his country is Israel and his people are Israel and you are incorporated in Israel if you're in Yeshua and you're going to go for it, or you're going to go down with the whore, with America. Because you were glad, because you rejoiced, O you destroyers of my heritage. Well, you know, Trump is backing these countries that are occupying Greater Israel. And not only is he backing them, he's keeping military there. In Kuwait, in Bahrain, in Qatar, in the UAE, in Jordan, in Saudi Arabia. Why is he keeping military there? Because Satan knows it's end times. And if Israel rises up, America will fight against Israel to stop them from getting the land back. That's why it's going down. Is that hard to understand? 58,000 troops in the Middle East squatting on Israel's land with the oil and the wealth. Can you understand that? Because you were glad, because you rejoiced, O you destroyer of my heritage. The heritage is Israel, in the land of Israel. Because you are grown fat as the heifer at grass and bellow as bulls. America. Your mother shall be sore confounded. She that bare you shall be ashamed. Behold, the hindermost of the nations, of the heathen nations. The hindermost is the last one. America came, now God only has 70 nations, and America came last, in, you know, when they overthrew the British, and God didn't have any other nation. Now, the nations create names for other nations, but God didn't do it, okay? The hindermost of the nations, and England was around a lot before America, and so was Arabia, called Saudi Arabia today. And so was the Catholics in Rome. Your mother shall be sore confounded, she that bare you shall be ashamed. Behold, the hindermost of the nations shall be a wilderness, a dry land, and a desert. Because of the wrath of Jehovah, it shall not be inhabited, but it shall be wholly destroyed. Every one that goeth by Babel, or Babylon, shall be astonished and hiss at all her plagues. The hiss could maybe mean whistle, like, or, you know, I don't know, you know. Put yourselves in one or the other, I guess, you know. It's not going to change end times, you know. Put yourselves in array against her, against Babel, round about. So they're going to surround her. That's going to be Mexico, Canada, the water, you know, not that hard to understand. Look at the relations with Canada and Mexico today. Make it easier? Sure, it should. How hard is it to imagine Canada going to China and Russia for help against America? And Mexico hates them anyway. America. Against Babylon round about. All you that bend the bow, shoot at her, spare no arrow, for she hath sinned against Jehovah. That's America. Look at all their policies and practices. They protect all the churches of the Antichrist. They even protect the Church of Satan. They give them tax concessions and all kinds of stuff, right? Look at their moral standards. Look, I mean, come on. Shout against her round about, she hath given her hand. That means she surrendered. She hath given her hand, her foundations are fallen, her walls are thrown down. So is it hard for you to, the only walls they can be talking about is the Mexico-America walls. And how hard would it be for you to imagine the cartels leading a charge and knocking the walls down? Is that hard for you to fathom? For it is the vengeance of Jehovah. That's the day of vengeance, likely, maybe, probably. Take vengeance upon her, as she hath done, do unto her. How many wars has America started and revolutions? Oh, come on. Cut off the sower from Babylon, and him that handleth the sickle in the time of harvest. The harvest is the Exodus. It's Matthew 13, the tares and the wheat. That's the harvest. Gather the wheat into my barn, gather the tares, burn them into bundles first, put them in bundles, and then they get burned. The burning is the lake of fire, but in the interim, they're in the pit, they await the judgment, then they go to the fire. For fear of the oppressing sword, they shall turn every one to his people, and they shall flee every one to his own land. You notice how Trump is trying to get them out of America now? But the oppressing sword, a subscriber pointed this out to me, and I didn't see it until this person told it to me, is the oppressing sword. What's an oppressing government? An oppressing sword is the sword from an oppressing government, not the invaders. Trump is bearing down on these illegal aliens in America. Many are leaving now. He's paying their airfare. He's set up a way where they can just go online and register that they're illegal there in America when they want to leave, and they get a free plane ticket, and I think he's giving them $1,000 now. That number's going to go up. But if they don't go, he's going to try to send them to jail in some godforsaken place. What's he using? I think El Salvador. He's trying to find other horrible places to incarcerate them in. Okay, cheaper than American prisons. Cut off the sower from Babylon, and him that handleth the sickle. Those are the workers, the agricultural workers. They're going to go back where they came from. So that means this happens when they go back where they came from. It's before Jeremiah 30:11, the destruction of all the nations he scattered the Israelites into over time. Because there would be nothing for them to go back to if it was after that. Israel is a scattered sheep. The lions have, so the destruction of the nations may very, very well be on the day of vengeance too. Israel is a scattered sheep. The lions have driven him away. First, the king of Assyria devoured him, and last, this Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babel, hath broken his bones. This Nebuchadnezzar is not the Nebuchadnezzar from many centuries ago in Babylon. It would be today the Donald, the Trump. If he gets killed or dies or impeached, there would be the next one. But it looks like it's the Donald right now. And what is he going to do to Israel? Break their bones. It says, Israel is a scattered sheep. The lions have driven him away. First, the king of Assyria hath devoured him, And last, this Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babel, has broken his bones. So I keep telling you, America's going to turn against Israel. They shall do evil in your sight. Wait for it. You're not going to have a long wait. Therefore, thus saith, Jehovah's mad now. He's supporting all the people squatting on the land of Israel. He's a pro-Satan, this Nebuchadnezzar, the Donald. Therefore, thus saith Jehovah of hosts, the Elohim of Israel, behold, I will punish the king of Babel and his land, as I have punished the king of Assyria. The king of Assyria was assassinated, I believe. Now, we know there were assassination attempts at Trump. Now, is he going to get assassinated? Well, if he is this Nebuchadnezzar, which it sure looks like, it looks like he will. Am I prophesying that, or am I interpreting the scripture as I see it? I'm interpreting the scripture as I see it. And it may not be Donald Trump. It may be the next one. He could be gone tomorrow, and it's another one. I don't know. But it looks like it's Trump right now. And I will bring Israel again to his habitation. That's the next great Exodus. And and it says, I think in Jeremiah 23 or 16 or 17, Jeremiah, that this next Exodus is going to be so great, they're not going to talk anymore about Moses' Exodus. And I will bring Israel again to his habitation, and he shall feed on Carmel, that's near Haifa, and Bashan, and his soul shall be satisfied. Now, Carmel was where the cave was that Elijah went into, too, curiously. And his soul, and you can see it, it's not that high from the highway. It may be 50, 60 feet up, or maybe not even, or 80 or something. I can't remember exactly, but it's not very high up. And his soul shall be satisfied upon Mount Ephraim and Gilead. In those days and in that time, saith Jehovah, the lawlessness of Israel, the iniquity means lawlessness, the lawlessness of Israel shall be sought, and there shall be none. So Elijah and Enoch are working as the judges of Israel, and they're now righteous, and the blessings of the Lord are coming on Israel. And the sins of Judah, they shall be not found. For I will pardon them whom I reserve, the remnant. Go up against the land of Merathaim. That's an old, demon idol thing from the old Babylon. See, the same unclean spirit that did the old Babylon is the one behind America. Do you think the unclean spirits in Hitler are not inside somebody else today? Of course they are. You get the idea how it works? Okay. You got it? Okay. I don't know where or who these unclean spirits are in today, but, that's how they do it. The ones that were in George Washington, Napoleon, Attila the Hun, they're in somebody today, Go up against the land of Merathaim, even against it, and against the inhabitants of Pekod, that's a city from the old Babylon. Waste and utterly destroy after them, saith Jehovah, and do according to all that I have commanded thee. Jehovah tells the enemies what's to do. Just like Cyrus getting rid of Babylon. Trump ain't Cyrus, he's the Nebuchadnezzar. You got it reversed. He's slick, though. Speaks with forked tongue. Now I'm in Jeremiah 50:22. A sound of battle is in the land, and of great destruction. How is the hammer of the whole earth cut asunder and broken? How is Babylon become a desolation among the nations, the heathen? America's the hammer of the whole earth. It's not Saudi Arabia. Come on, who do they hammer? It's not, they're scared of Yemen. It's not the Vatican. They don't even have anything to fight with. Look at Russia, the hammer of the whole earth. Ukraine, Zelensky, a former comedian, is handing him his head. China's not the hammer of the whole earth. Who the heck listens to them? Some countries, but not many. Verse 24. I have laid a snare for thee, and thou art taken, O Babylon. See, Trump's in a snare and doesn't know it, believe me. And thou wast not aware. He doesn't know. Thou art found and also caught, because thou hast striven against Jehovah. Yeah, well, we're not going to let Israel have Gaza. We're going to make it into casino land place, a free zone. Think Jehovah likes that? Okay. You think he likes Trump running around saying he's a Christian, and then when he went to Saudi Arabia, UAE, and Qatar, he went into their big mosques in every single country. Would you do that? Jehovah hath opened his armory, and he also went to pay respects to the Pope, right? Jehovah hath opened his armory and hath brought forth the weapons of his indignation, his anger. For this is the work of Adonai Jehovah of armies in the land of the Chaldeans. So if you're going to go, no, it ain't America, you're going against Jehovah. So I hope you enjoy the lake of fire. I'm not kidding. What do you want me to do? Color it for you? Tickle your ears. Wake up. Come against her from, I'm not trying to be nice about it. I'm trying to against her from the utmost border. Well, we could say that's Hawaii, but there's no connection by land, so I doubt it. U.S. Virgin Islands, same problem, no connection by land. Puerto Rico, no connection by land. Alaska, a possible. But we don't, the mainland doesn't have a border with Alaska, so it appears to be Canada. Come against her from the utmost border, open her storehouses, cast her up as heaps, and destroy her utterly, let nothing be left. Now, Russia, China, North Korea could easily come in across the Bering Straits into Canada and drop down into Alaska and drop down through Canada and come in. That could be a real situation. Could be, I don't know for sure. Now I'm in verse 27. Slay all her bullocks. The bullocks, the bulls, you probably wouldn't know this, but this would be the police, the federal agents, those kind of people, not the military, as I see it. Let them go down to the slaughter. Woe unto them, for their day is come, the time of their visitation. The voice of them that flee and escape out of the land of Babel, to declare in Zion the vengeance of Jehovah, think day of vengeance, the vengeance of Jehovah Elohim, the vengeance of his temple. Now, that could be a carry back to what the Babylonians did to the temple by swiping the temple artifacts, burning it down to get the gold off it, or the painted on gold, and all that stuff. Or it could be that Trump and his soldiers do something to the next temple by march in it and violate it. Or both. Remains to be seen. Call together the archers against Babel, all that bend the bow. It could be, in my opinion, the weapons could be gone for some reason that We don't know yet. And they're actually using arrows, but taking another position that's highly probable that the bow is the missile launcher, the rocket launcher, the mortar launcher, and the arrow are the flying projectiles that explode. All you that bend the bow, camp against it round about. Let none therein escape. Do you read that? Let none therein escape. So the survivalists and the preppers, and they're missing it. You're going to see how bad they're missing it in the next couple of minutes. Recompense her according to her work, according to all that she hath done. Do unto her, for she hath been proud against Jehovah, against the Holy One of Israel. Trump's pretty proud, isn't he? Therefore shall her young men fall in the streets. Okay? And all her men of war, see, that's not the bullocks now, it's the men of war, that's your military, shall be cut off in that day. How many of them? All. The word is call, it means all. Say, all cut off in that day, saith the Lord. Behold, I am against thee, O thou most proud, saith Jehovah, Adonai Jehovah of hosts. See, Adonai Jehovah of hosts is Father God Jehovah, not the glorious God of Israel, okay? That's another way of knowing it's Father God Jehovah, okay? For thy day is come, the time that I shall visit thee. So America's going to get a visitation, not a good one. And the most proud shall stumble and fall. And none shall raise him up. And I will, now you better listen to this, and I will kindle a fire in his cities, in the plural, not city, cities, plural. Remember that. Plural. Remember that. It's going to get important later today. Cities in the plural. In his cities, and it shall devour all round about him. All round about him is obviously many cities. So what's really going to destroy America is the fires. It says, I will kindle a fire. Now, when we study Sodom and Gomorrah, there's the two men there. Okay? Yeah? Jehovah says he's going to burn the place up, and he sends the fire and brimstone down, and yet the two men say, we can do nothing until you get out of this town, to Lot and the family. So perhaps God equipped these two men. Who would they be? Enoch and Elijah, maybe, the two witnesses? Oh. Equips them to burn the place up by calling the fire and brimstone down from heaven. So God really did it, and they kind of did it too. Like when Jeremiah says, when I came to destroy the city. What that means, did Jeremiah take an axe and chop the city down? No, he prophesied the destruction of Jerusalem, and then it happened because God does nothing unless he first reveals it through his prophets. So, will the two witnesses have a hand in burning up America? I don't want to give you a firm answer because I'm not firm on it, but when we go back to Sodom and Gomorrah, like the days of Sodom, yeah, it would be them, I think. It could be. Or maybe not. Could it be them coming over there, they burn the joint up, and then they help the people get out? It could be. Did Moses and Aaron, who were two prophets and two judges, just like Elijah and Enoch, not so much with Aaron, but Moses was very, very much like Elijah and Enoch, but that's a whole other Bible study. But they, Jehovah wanted Moses as the prophet, and he stuttered, so he asked God to give him a break and use his brother Aaron, and God said, okay. But the real prophet was Moses. But God was very respectful of Aaron and made him the high priest. Okay, so moving along. Um, if we use the first exit, the Moses Exodus, then the two witnesses will be with the people and the glory of God of Israel. But then who's going to be here in Israel for all these people that got restored? And, maybe the anointed prince. I don't know much about this person. Really, have I prayed and asked the Lord to reveal to me who he is? Yes. Did I get an answer? No. Do I think I will? Yes. Do I know when? No. That doesn't help you, does it? Uh, he might. I don't know. In what is it, Zechariah 1, I think it might be Zechariah 2, I think it's 1. There's the four horns that scattered Judah, Jerusalem, and Israel, and then he sends four workmen to terrify the four horns. So the four horns are probably four countries, and we could guess all day long, and doesn't mean the countries in the past, the countries today. I don't. We're just throwing darts at the balloons in the county fair and hoping we hit a balloon. I don't know exactly who these countries are. I mean, you want to take guesses? Well, Hezbollah in Lebanon, Hamas in Gaza, the Syria, Iraq, Iran, Yemen, and blah, blah. Where do you get off? We got more than four already. America, Russia, China. I don't know. I can't name the four with any accuracy. Pray that God gives us these things, okay? Maybe he'll reveal it to us. Now, there's four workmen that terrify the four horns. Now, you want to take a guess at this, and I'm telling you, it's a wild guess now. Okay, just, a wild guess. I can't come down with anything more definitive. Enoch, Elijah, that's two. The anointed prince, that makes three, right? And we know Apostle John is still here. That makes four. Are those, in my mind, the most likely candidates for these four workmen? Yes. Glory of God of Israel's an angel, he wouldn't be a workman. So, do I think I'm right? There's a good chance I am. Let's put it that way. It's a good chance, but I'm not going to commit. These are things we don't have the answers to in Scripture, okay? But if you pray, it'll happen. Remember, we prayed for a guy to pass the driver's test. I think I put it up on Telegram, and we prayed also in YouTube a while ago. He passed. Okay. Hey, do I have... let me finish this chapter, and then I'll do the prayer requests. I think there's one or two, or maybe I don't have any. I don't know. So we covered the kindle of fire in the cities. The children of Israel and the children of Judah were oppressed together, and all that took them captive held them fast, and they refused to let them go. Does that mean, this maybe means, that some of the countries, when Elijah emerges and starts working, they're going to try to help Satan and thwart God's plan to return the Israelites and the true believers to Israel and trap them in the countries. But that could be one reason why God destroys the countries they're in. Then they're just going to stroll out at their leisure. Seriously. But maybe America tries to keep them in, and Enoch and Elijah have to go over there to read the riot act to Trump or something. It's a possible, but it also could be a possible that this is just talking because it's in the past tense. So I don't know on this one. We'll know soon. Again, pray about it. The more stuff you pray for, generally speaking, the more we get. We're not going to get the day and hour, forget that. But we'll get other details. Their Redeemer is strong. Jehovah of hosts is his name. Redeemer, year of redemption, day of vengeance. Getting it? He shall thoroughly plead their cause, that he may give rest to the land and disquiet the inhabitants of Babylon. Rest to the land of Israel, he means, and disquiet, rattle up the inhabitants of Babylon. I would say that's in full swing, pretty well. Maybe it's going to get worse, but it's in play now, them being disquieted. I mean, a sword is upon the Chaldeans, saith Jehovah, and upon the inhabitants of Babel, and upon her princes, and upon her wise men. A sword is upon the liars, and they shall dote. A sword is upon her mighty men, they shall be dismayed. A sword is upon their horses, and upon their chariots, and upon all the mingled people that are in the midst of her. The mingled people. Remember America, the melting pot, mingled people, you got it? And they shall become as women. A sword is upon her treasures, and they shall be robbed. That's the spoil, the robbing. And I think it's going to take them quite a while to rob America. I don't think it's going to take 3 hours. I think it's going to be days and days. I think. I'm not sure. A drought is upon her waters, and they shall be dried up. For it is the land of graven images, and they are mad upon their idols. Therefore, the wild beasts of the desert with the wild beasts of the islands, that could be, I don't know, anything, Caribbean, South America, Central, I don't know, shall dwell there, and the owls shall dwell therein, and it shall be no more inhabited forever. Forever means forever, because he's so disgusted with that place that all these Christians are praising as the greatest country in the land. They don't understand the church of the Antichrist, Neither shall it be dwelt in from generation to generation. As God overthrew Sodom and Gomorrah and the neighboring cities thereof, saith Jehovah, so shall no man abide there, neither shall any son of man dwell therein. Now that's a hint that it could be as he got rid of Sodom and Gomorrah. It's a strong hint. As God overthrew Sodom and Gomorrah and the neighboring cities, well, see, if that's the way I'm reading it, then you're going to see Elijah and Enoch over there, and they're going to... Did they help Lot and his family on the exodus out of there? Yeah, they walked them out. They were holding their hands when they walked them out. Lot's wife turning to a pillar of salt, is going into the wilderness, passing under the rod, which means you're really part of Israel, the sheep of Yeshua. And then you enter into the bond of the covenant, and Lot's wife didn't enter into the bond of the covenant, and she wasn't, really his. She liked the joint, She missed it. It also supports you and your whole house shall be saved. As God overthrew Sodom and Gomorrah and the neighbor cities thereof, saith Jehovah, so shall no man abide there, neither shall any son of man dwell therein. Behold, a people a people and a great nation, and many kings shall be raised up from the coast. By who? God's going to raise them up, from the coasts of the earth. They shall hold the bow and the lance. They are cruel, and that means cruel, and will not show mercy. Their voice shall roar like the sea, and they shall ride upon horses, every one put in array, like a man to the battle against thee, O daughter of Babylon. The king of Babylon hath heard the report of them, and his hands waxed feeble. Anguish took hold of him, and pangs as of a woman in travail. Behold, he shall come up like a lion from the swelling of the Jordan unto the habitation of the strong. But I will make them suddenly run away from her. And who is a chosen man that I may appoint over her? For who is like me, and who will appoint me the time? And who is that shepherd that will stand before me? Likely he's talking about Yeshua, possibly Elijah or Enoch. I'll leave it at that. Likely Yeshua. Okay, he shall come up like a lion from the swelling of the Jordan unto the habitation of the strong. The strong is redeemed Israel, everlasting life. Come up, well, the Jordan is the Jordan River. It's right near me. It's, 5 miles away. The Jordan River feeds into the Sea of Galilee. That's what feeds the Sea of Galilee. And I believe the Americans will be there and doing evil in our sight. So watch for American troops in Israel. You'll see it. I think. It's very hard to hit every one of these perfectly, but you can really learn a lot as I'm showing you. Therefore, hear you the counsel of Jehovah that he hath taken against Babel, and his purpose that he hath purposed against the land of the Chaldeans. Surely the least of the flock shall draw them out. Surely he shall make the habitation desolate with them. At the noise of the taking of Babylon, the earth moved, and the cry is heard among the nations. This is going to be something. Could happen any time now, any day, any week. You're not going to be waiting years or anything like that for this. Now, before I do Jeremiah 51, let me check the chat for questions, prayer requests, whatever we might need to deal with. Trump ego got the best of him. Yeah, egomaniac. I'm going to take a quick break before we do Jeremiah 51. If I hold up, we'll do Revelation 17 and 18. If I don't, then we'll have to do that another day. But I'm going to try to hold up. All right, I'll be back in a minute. shut the door here a little bit because it's getting cold in here from the air conditioners running, because I'm cooling the house down before the big heat hits. So if the house is freezing, then it's going to be better when it hits 105. Okay. Prayer requests. Let's see. No, I don't have any. Okay. Jeremiah 51:1. Thus saith Jehovah, behold, I will raise up against Babylon and against them that dwell in the midst of them that rise up against me a destroying wind. Now that's storms. America's been having a lot of those. And will send unto Babylon fanners that shall fan her, that shall empty her land. For in the day of trouble they shall be against her round about. The fanners are the looters and the pillagers, Against him that bendeth, let the archer bend his bow, and against him that, the screen malfunctions, and against him that lifteth himself up in his brigadine. Spare you not her young men, destroy you utterly all her hosts. That's the army. The host is the army, the military. Thus the slain shall fall in the land of the Chaldeans, and they that are thrust through in her streets. For Israel hath not been forsaken, nor Judah of his God. Of Jehovah of hosts. Though, what is this? Though their land is filled with sin against the Holy One of Israel. Flee out of the midst of Babylon, and deliver every man his soul. Be not cut off in her lawlessness, for this is the time of the Lord's vengeance, day of vengeance. He will render unto her a recompense. Day of vengeance is in the year of recompenses. Babylon hath been a golden cup in the Lord's hand, that made all the earth drunken. The nations have drunken of her wine. Therefore the nations are mad, as in nuts. And they are nuts. Babylon is suddenly fallen. Note this word suddenly. In a moment, in a day, in an hour, you're going to be reading that. And destroyed. Howl for her, take balm for her pain. If so be she may be healed. We would have healed Babylon, but she is not healed. Now, you know what this likely is, to heal Babylon, but she's not healed? This, they put Trump in office to heal Babylon, to heal America. And it didn't work. Then what comes next? Forsake her, that people start leaving. And let us go, every man into his own country. We read that. For her judgment reacheth unto heaven and is lifted up to the skies. Jehovah hath brought forth our righteousness, the appearing of the sign, the Son of Man in the clouds, and then you get the everlasting life. He puts the law in your heart and your inward parts. They shall all know me, from the least to the greatest. Hath brought forth our righteousness. Come, and let us declare in Zion the work of Jehovah Elohim. So when they come to Israel, they declare what happened. It looks like the internet is out. Or why would they, maybe not, maybe yes, I don't know. Make bright the arrows. Well, missiles are bright when they fly with the exhaust, It could also mean polish the arrows so they go through the air better, I don't know. Gather the shields. Jehovah hath raised up the spirit of the king of the Medes, Median Empire, for his devices against Babel to destroy it, because it is the vengeance of Jehovah, the vengeance of his temple, day of vengeance. Set up the standard upon the walls of Babylon, make the watch strong, set up the watchmen, prepare the ambush, for Jehovah hath both devised and done that which he spake against the inhabitants of Babylon. Well, America's already done that. They got the military on the walls between Mexico and America. The watchmen, preparing to ambush those that try to sneak into America. This has been going on already for quite a while. Okay? Verse 13. O thou that dwellest upon many waters. You got the Atlantic, the Pacific, the Gulf of Mexico. You got about 8,000 rivers, probably about that many lakes, more than that in lakes, including the Great Lakes. Does the Vatican have many waters? Does Saudi Arabia, Mecca, Medina, do they have many waters? No. Abundant in treasure, thy end is come, and the measure of thy covetousness. Remember, America has about as many known Jews in it as Israel. No other country comes close. Jehovah, and then we got to deal with the lost tribes. Jehovah of hosts had sworn by himself, saying, surely I will fill thee with men as with caterpillars, and they shall lift up a shout against thee. You have about 30 million illegal aliens in the United States. They say 60% of those are military-age single males. That's what you're calling sleeper agents. You got it? Like, fill you with men like as with caterpillars. Well, there you got that one. He hath made the earth by his power. He hath established the world by his wisdom. And hath stretched out the heaven by his understanding. When he uttereth his voice, there is a multitude of waters in the heavens, and causeth the vapors to descend from the ends of the earth. He maketh lightnings with rain, and bringeth forth the wind out of his treasure. Please note, he didn't state that CERN makes these things, okay? He does. Every man is brutish by his knowledge, like the people advocating CERN, controlling the weather. Every founder is confounded by the graven image, for his molten image is falsehood, and there is no breath in them. They are vanity, the work of errors. In the time of their visitation they shall perish. The portion of Yaakov is like them, for he is the former of all things, and Israel is the rod of his inheritance. Jehovah of hosts is his name. Thou art my battle axe. Speaking of Israel now, so we're going to be fighting. And we already are. And we're winning. And weapons of war. For with thee will I break in pieces the heathen. With thee will I destroy kingdoms. With thee will I break in pieces the horse and his rider, and with thee will I break in pieces the chariot and his rider. With thee also will I break in pieces man and woman. And with thee will I break in pieces old and young. And with thee will I break in pieces the young man and the maid. I will also break in pieces with thee the shepherd and his flock. With thee will I break in pieces the husbandman and his yoke of oxen. And with thee will I break in pieces captains and rulers. Maybe like targeted assassinations or something. And I will render unto Babel and to all the inhabitants of Chaldea all their evil that they have done in Zion, in Israel, in your sight. So he's going to do stuff here in Israel, right in our sight. Behold, I am against thee, O destroying mountain, saith Jehovah, which destroyeth all the earth. And I will, so there's going to be a lot of big wars, I guess. And I will stretch out, maybe he's talking ecological destruction, I don't know. I'm not sure. And I will stretch out my hand upon thee and roll thee down from the rocks and will make thee a burnt mountain. And they shall not take of a stone or a corner, nor a stone for a foundation, but thou shalt be desolate forever, saith Jehovah. Set up a standard in the land, blow the trumpet among the nations, the heathen. Prepare the nations against her, call together against her the kingdoms of Arat, Mini, and Ashkenaz. Those are the stand countries in Europe that support Russia. Appoint a captain against her, cause the horses to come up as the rough caterpillars. Prepare against her the nations with the kings of the Medes, the captains thereof, all the rulers thereof, and all the land of his dominion. And the land shall tremble and sorrow, for every purpose of Jehovah shall be performed against Babel, to make the land of Babel a desolation without an inhabitant. The mighty men of Babel have forborne to fight. They have remained in the holes their might had failed. They became as women. They have burned her dwelling places, fires, her bars are broken. One post shall run to meet another, one messenger to meet another, to say the king of Babel that his city is taken at one end. That's Washington, D.C. And the passages are stopped, and the reeds they have burned with fire, and the men of war were affrighted. For thus saith Jehovah of armies, God of Israel, Elohim Yisrael. It's actually saying Jehovah of hosts, Elohim Yisrael. The daughter of Babylon is like a threshing floor. It's time to thresh her. Yet a little while, and the time of her harvest shall come. This is very much pointing to Matthew 13, where you separate the chaff from the wheat. You gather the wheat, the chaff, and you burn it, and you gather the wheat into the barn, which is Israel, the wheat of the believers, the Israelites. Nebuchadnezzar, the king of Babylon, hath devoured me. He hath crushed me. He hath made me an empty vessel. He hath swallowed up like a dragon. He hath filled his belly with my delicates. He hath cast me out. That could be the revenge for the temple. Okay? Could be. Could be it happens again. The violence done to me and to my flesh is upon Babel, that the inhabitant of Zion say, and my blood upon the inhabitants of Chaldea shall Jerusalem say. So it sounds like something got revealed and they did more bad things to us. Therefore, thus saith Jehovah, I will plead thy cause and take vengeance for thee, and I will dry up her sea and make her springs dry, and Babel shall become heaps, a dwelling place for dragons, an astonishment and a hissing without an inhabitant. They shall roar together like lions. They shall yell as lions' whelps. In their heat, think lust, lasciviousness. I will make their feasts and I will make them drunken, that they may rejoice and sleep a perpetual sleep, and not wake, saith Jehovah. I will bring them down like lambs to the slaughter, like rams with the he-goats, with the he-goats. How is Sheshach taken? That's a throwback to the old Babylon. And how is the praise of the whole earth surprised? Sleeper agents. I think. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it's a subtle attack, quiet attack. How has Babylon become an astonishment among the nations? The sea has come up upon Babel. She is covered with the multitude of the waves thereof. That probably follows after the fires to put the fires out. Her cities are a desolation, a dry land. and a wilderness, a land wherein is no man dwelleth, neither doth any son of man pass thereby. Be no reason to. And I will punish Bel and Babel, and will bring forth out of his mouth that which he hath swallowed up, and the nations shall not flow together any more unto him. They flow together unto the daughter of Babylon at the UN in New York City. Yea, the wall of Babylon shall fall. That's the Mexico-America wall. My people, go you out of the midst of her, and deliver you every man his soul from the fierce anger of Jehovah. And lest your heart faint, and you fear for the rumor that shall be heard in the land, a rumor shall both come 1 year, and after that in another year shall come a rumor, and violence in the land, ruler against ruler. Well, there is violence in the land. I don't know how bad it's going to get. Ruler against ruler could be the Supreme Court struck down. Yesterday, Trump sending the Venezuelan gang members to these, deporting them the way he was doing it and sending them to El Salvador. The Supreme Court stopped them. That could be the ruler fighting ruler. Supreme Court's a ruler and Trump's a ruler. Therefore, behold, the days come that I will do judgment upon the graven images of Babel, and her whole land shall be confounded, and all her slain shall fall in the midst of her. Then the heaven and the earth and all that is therein shall sing for Babel, for the spoilers shall come unto her from the north. From Canada or from the north country of Israel? Good question. Saith the Lord, as Babylon hath caused the slain of Israel to fall. They were behind October 7th with Netanyahu, by the way. They let it happen. So at Babel shall fall the slain of all the earth. You that have escaped the sword, go away and stand not still. Remember the Lord afar off, and let Jerusalem come into your mind. We are confounded because we have heard So it says here, this is an interesting one, Jeremiah 51:51. We are all confounded because we have heard reproach. Shame hath covered our faces, for strangers have come into the temple, the sanctuary of Jehovah's house. So it could be that Trump did make a defiling of the temple and stuff, or his soldiers or his people, or maybe he flew over here to do it. He's so arrogant. Wherefore, behold, The days come, saith Jehovah, that I will do judgment upon her graven images through all her land. The wounded shall groan. Though Babylon should rise up, should mount up to heaven, and though she should fortify the height of her strength, yet from me shall spoilers come unto her, saith Jehovah. A sound of a cry cometh, sound of a cry cometh from Babel, and great destruction from the land of the Chaldeans. Because the Chaldeans were who lived in the old Babel. They were the witches, astrologers, that kind of garbage. Because Jehovah hath spoiled Babel, and destroyed out of her the great voice, when her waves do roar like great waters, a noise of their voice is uttered. Because the spoiler is come upon her, even upon Babel, and her mighty men are taken. Every one of their bows is broken, for Adonai Jehovah for the Lord God of recompenses, think ye of recompenses, shall surely requite thee. I'm in verse 57. And I will make drunk her princes and her wise men, captains and her rulers and her mighty men, and they shall sleep a perpetual sleep and not wake, saith the King, whose name is Jehovah of hosts. And that's interesting, huh? Thus saith Jehovah of hosts, the broad walls of Babel Thus saith Jehovah of hosts, the broad walls of Babel shall be utterly broken. The word broad can mean the long walls of Babel, okay? They got, 2,000 miles of walls with Mexico? Shall be utterly broken, and her high gates shall be burned with fire, and the people shall labor in vain, and the folk in the fire, and they shall be weary. They're weary now. The word which Jeremiah the prophet commanded Sariah the son of Neriah, the son of Maaseiah, when he went with Zedekiah, the king of Judah, to Babylon, in the 4th year of his reign. And this Sariah was a ruling, a quiet prince. So Jeremiah wrote in a book all the words that, all the evil that should come upon Babel, even all these words that are written against Babel or Babylon. And Jeremiah said to Sariah, When thou comest to Babylon and shall see and shall read all these words, then shalt thou say, O Lord, thou hast thou shalt read and all these words. Then shalt thou say, O Lord, thou hast spoken against this place to cut it off, that none shall remain in it, neither man nor beast, but that it shall be desolate forever. And it shall be when thou hast made an end of reading this book that thou shalt bind the stone to it and cast it into the midst of Euphrates, and thou shalt say, Thus this book that thou shalt bind a stone to it and cast it into the midst of the Euphrates. And thou shalt say, Thus shall Babel sink, and shall not rise from the evil that I will bring upon her, and they shall be weary. Thus far are the words of Jeremiah. So it was a symbolic thing. When you read about what happened with Babylon, Cyrus came and diverted the rivers and the streams, and then they walked under the wall of Babylon because the river that went under the wall dried up, and the people in Babylon woke up in the morning and they were captured. And that didn't harm any of the Israelites that were there for the 70 years. So then they came back to Israel. Okay? It didn't have all these nations. There was nothing like this. The people in Babylon were not killed like that. This has never happened. All right. Let me check the live stream, and we'll push into Revelation 17. All right. Revelation 17, and we'll do 18. Those are not huge chapters, so it's not that much work. Isaiah 47 is another one, but it's enough for one day. We can do that another day. It's not critical, really. 17:1 of Revelation. And there came one of the seven angels, which had the seven vials, and talked with me, saying unto me, Come hither, I will show unto thee the judgment of the great whore that sitteth upon many waters. Many waters is many people. Waters means people. With whom the kings of the earth have committed fornication. That's spiritual fornication. And the inhabitants of the earth have been made drunk with the wine of her fornication. So he carried me away in the spirit into the wilderness, and I saw a woman sit upon a scarlet-colored beast, full of names of blasphemy, having 7 heads and 10 horns. This is not Satan. This is the beast that comes out of the pit. And the woman sits on it. The woman is being carried by the beast. Maybe you could say controlling the beast, dominating the beast, or the beast is carrying her, but you're getting the idea, right? Working with the beast. Verse 4. And the woman was arrayed in purple and scarlet colors, very rich, economically rich, and decked with gold and precious stones and pearls, having a golden cup in her hand, full of abominations and filthiness of her fornication. And that's like demon worship, okay? And upon her foreheads was a name written, Mystery Babylon. Whoa, let's check the word mystery. What does Strong's tell us mystery means? Secret, not mystery, secret. Secret religions, secret cults, secret Mason junk, that kind of stuff, right? Secret satanic stuff. Okay. Secret Babylon the Great, the mother of harlots, whores, and abominations of the earth. And I saw the woman drunken with the blood of the saints and with the blood of the martyrs of Yeshua. And when I saw her, I wondered with great admiration. You see, this payback goes back to the old Babylon. Okay? Because it's the same unclean spirits running it. You got to note that it's a woman, and we'll identify who this woman is very easily for you, that you will understand it without any doubt, I believe. And I saw the woman drunken with the blood of the saints and with the blood of the martyrs of Yeshua. And I saw her, and I wondered in great admiration. And the angel said unto me, Wherefore didst thou, why, I guess you would say, why didst thou marvel? I will tell thee the mystery of the woman and of the beast that carrieth her, which hath the 7 heads, 10 horns, and 10 horns. That's the Revelation 13 beast coming up out of the sea. The beast that thou sawest he was running around on earth, and is not, he's cast into the bottomless pit, and shall ascend out of the bottomless pit. That's probably Revelation 13. The pit's below the oceans, and he comes up through the ocean. And go into perdition. That would mean the beast and the false prophet get thrown alive into the lake of fire, and they have the unequivocal honor of being the first 2 jackasses to go to the lake of fire. And they that dwell on the earth shall wonder whose names were not written in the book of life. See, they're not the elect. They don't know what happened. From the foundation of the world, when they behold the beast that was and is not, he was, then he's in the pit, so he is not, and yet is, he comes out. And here is the mind which hath wisdom. The 7 heads are 7 mountains, on which the woman sitteth. Now, that could be the 7 continents, the 7 mountains, because America is that powerful. And there are 7 kings, 5 have fallen, and 1 is, and the other is not yet come. And when he cometh, he must continue a short space. And the beast that was and is not, and even he is the eighth, and is of the seven, and goeth into perdition. And the 10 horns which thou sawest are 10 kings which have received no kingdom yet, but receive power as kings 1 hour with the beast. These have one mind, and shall give their power and their strength unto the beast. These shall make war with the Lamb, and the Lamb shall overcome them, for he is Lord of lords and King of kings. Amen. And they that are with him are called and chosen. Many are called, but few are chosen. These are the called and the chosen, and faithful. And he saith unto me, the waters which thou sawest, where the whore sitteth, are peoples, see the waters of peoples, and multitudes, and nations, heathen, and tongues, languages. And the 10 horns which thou sawest upon the beast, these shall hate the whore, and shall make her desolate and naked, and shall eat her flesh, and burn her with fire. So they could be burning her too. But God says, I will kindle fires in and about our cities. Maybe he uses these people, I don't know. For God hath put in their hearts to fulfill his will, and to agree and give their kingdom unto the beast, until the words of God shall be fulfilled. And the woman which thou sawest, you got to pay attention now, is that great city which reigneth over the kings of the earth. Now I got to prove to you with objective pictures, photos, that the capital of America, Washington, D.C., is the great whore, the woman. And it's not going to be hard. It'll be very easy. Okay? Let us start with a motion picture icon. I will put it up on the screen. This screen drives me crazy. The Columbia Motion Pictures icon. A flat-chested woman that's probably both sexes, if you get my drift, holding the torch, the light, come to me, I have the way, I have the light, on a pedestal. Short-haired, flat-chested, maybe a woman, maybe something else. I'll give you a different image of this. That's not a good one. Well, you've seen this. This is just another one. The name of this is Columbia, right? Now, what is the name of the capital city of the United States? Now, this city, Washington, D.C., means Washington District of Columbia. So the capital of America belongs to Columbia. Who is the whore? Who is the Statue of Liberty? I will get a picture of the Statue of Liberty for you. I thought I was getting a Statue of Liberty picture. Let's see. Let me get out of here. They gave me some tourist thing for. What the heck? Can't even get out of this now. I gotta go to images. I'm in something else here. Here it is. Another flat-chested woman. How about that? Wearing a crown. Holding the torch with the light. Come to me. On a pedestal with the pillars. Just like a Roman and Greek temple with the pillars. Columbia. Now, is Columbia even on the roof of the Capitol building? Is it a graven image? Is this mad upon her idols? Of course it is. This is this jackass Columbia jerk, I believe, sitting on the roof of the Capitol with the pillars on a pedestal, flat-chested, woman-looking thing with a bird on its head, which is a demonic symbol. The birds are generally unclean spirits. On the roof of the Capitol building. So the Capitol building belongs to Columbia, who is the great whore. Columbia is not in any state of the United States. It's not in the 50 states. It's the great city. There it is on a gold platter. But that's the great city, but the daughter of Babylon's the whole country. Remember, he says, I will kindle fires in and about your cities, in the plural. Many waters, dry them up. There's not many waters in Washington, D.C. Okay? There's no agricultural workers in Washington, D.C. that, plant the seeds and then harvest with the sickle. Okay? Columbia is the name of the whore. And this is, I don't know what this Columbia's origin is. It could be some woman that the fallen angels before the flood laid up with that they like. I don't know. It could be something they made up. Who knows? Who cares? That's what it is. Now let's go finish up with Revelation 18. Now, many people are going to go into denial and they're just going to say, oh, no, this is America. We got all the churches. This is the land, the home of the free and the brave and all that. Yeah, sure. And after these things, I saw another angel come down from heaven, having great power, and the earth was lightened with his glory. And he cried mightily with a strong voice, saying, Babylon the Great is fallen, and is become the habitation of devils, and the hold of every foul spirit, and a cage of every unclean and hateful bird. So the demons moved into America in a big way to run the world from America. For all nations, all heathen nations, have drunk of the wine of the wrath of her, including Israel, you would have to say, the wrath of her fornication, and the kings of the earth have committed fornication with her. And that probably means worshiping her, And the merchants of the earth are waxed rich through the abundance of her delicacies. And I heard, and you see, they buy these fine goods: Rolex, Patek Philippe, Rolls Royce, Bentley, Learjets, all this stuff, right? And I heard another voice from heaven saying, Come out of her, my people, that you be not partakers of her sins, and that you receive not her plagues. For her sins have reached unto heaven, and God hath remembered her iniquities, her lawlessness. Reward her even as she rewarded you, and double unto her, double according to her works, in the cup which she hath filled to her double. She gets a double shot of the cup of the wrath of the Lord. And we get a double reward too. We get it twice as good as they ever had it, even with Solomon and David. It'll be twice as good for us. Probably it's more of a figure of speech. It'll be much, much, much better for us than they had. How much she hath glorified herself and lived deliciously, so much torment and sorrow give her. She saith in her heart, I sit as a queen and am no widow, and shall see no sorrow. Yeah, sorry about that, lady. Therefore shall her plagues come in one day. So it gets it in one day. Death and mourning one day, and famine, and she shall be utterly burned with fire, for strong is Adonai, is the Lord God who judgeth her. See, if the survivalists and the preppers had their act together, they'd all buy 25 or 30 fire extinguishers. See, they'd buy guns, bullets, food, They don't know what they're doing. And after the fires comes the waves washing over, so they'd have to buy, skin diving gear and, oxygen. Come on, it's a joke, isn't it? Nobody's going to make it. And the kings of the earth who have committed fornication and lived deliciously with her shall bewail her and lament. Bewail is mourn, and lament for her when they shall see the smoke of her burning. It's going to likely start with Washington, D.C., but let's keep going. Standing afar off for the fear of her torment, saying, Alas, alas, that great city Babylon, that mighty city, for in 1 hour is thy judgment come. It's going to get destroyed in an hour. And the merchants of the earth shall weep and mourn over her, for no man buyeth their merchandise anymore. They're the one. America's the one that's where they're unloading Rolex and Ferrari and Lamborghini and Prada and Chanel and all that. It's Gucci, Schmarucci, Dior, all that. There is no Schmarucci, but they're dumping all that stuff in America, and it's getting bought in America. The wealthy buy it like crazy. They buy the yachts, the private jets. They buy the special marble for the floors, all this junk, For no man buyeth their merchandise anymore. The merchandise of gold and silver and precious stones, and of pearls, and of fine linen, and purple, and silk, and scarlet, and all thine wood, and all manner vessels of ivory, and all manner of vessels of most precious wood, and of brass, and iron, and marble, and cinnamon, and odors, that's perfumes, and ointment, salves and creams and lipsticks, I guess, I don't know. And frankincense, herbs, and wine. Oh, they collect wine like crazy, rich, right? And oil, and fine flour, and wheat, and beasts. Oh, they got all kinds of expensive animals, right? Racehorses, Brahmin bulls, all kinds of stuff, right? And sheep, they got prize sheep, and horses, they got expensive racehorses for millions of dollars, and chariots, and maybe they mean cars or something, I don't know, and staves, and souls of men, dragging people down the hill. And the fruits of thy soul lusted after are departed from thee, and all things which were dainty and goodly have departed from thee, and thou shalt find them no more. I guess their money supply collapsed or something. The merchants of the things which were made rich by her shall stand afar off for the fear of her torment, weeping and wailing. They stand far away. And saying, Alas, alas, that great city that was clothed in fine linen and purple and scarlet, and decked with gold and precious stones and pearls. For in 1 hour so great riches is come to naught, and every shipmaster and all the company in ships and sailors and as many trade by sea stood afar off, and they watched it burn and cried when they saw the smoke of her burning, saying, What city. Now the word city is added in. It's saying, what like unto this great, oh no, it does have the word city here, this great city, which is Washington, D.C., District of Columbia. And they cast dust on their heads and cried weeping and wailing, saying, Alas, alas, that great city wherein were made rich all that had ships in the sea. Well, that's where all the corruption is. That's where all the kickbacks were going, to Washington, D.C., right? So they were making the deals with D.C. and they were getting rich. Okay. That had ships in the sea by reason of costliness, for in 1 hour she's made desolate. Rejoice over her, thou heaven, and you holy apostles and prophets, for God hath avenged you on her. And a mighty angel took up a stone like a great millstone and cast it into the sea, saying, Thus with violence shall that great city Babylon be thrown down, and shall be found no more at all. And the voice of harpers and musicians and pipers and trumpeters shall be heard no more at all in thee. And no craftsman of whatsoever craft he be shall be found any more in thee. And the sound of a millstone shall be heard no more at all in thee. And the light of a candle shall shine no more at all in thee, and the voice of the bridegroom and of the bride shall be heard no more at all in thee. Thy merchants were the great men of the earth, for by thy sorceries were all nations deceived. And in her was found the blood of prophets and saints, and of all that were slain upon the earth. So this is the old one going back to Babylon. This is the unclean spirits, So I believe the way I see this is DC is going to get hit fast and hard and brutally. It could be aircraft bombing, it could be missiles coming off of ships, drones coming off of ships, both. It could be balloons that are floated over that drop bombs or blow up. It could be anything. Planted explosives, but it does seem more like arrows, so that could be any day now. And that's going to start it, and then see, when they start there, the Pentagon's going to fall apart. They're not going to know what to do. They might get affected because they're so close, but maybe not, maybe yes, I don't know. But it's going to be sheer chaos. Remember the sleeper agents, like caterpillars. Even Trump admitted 30 million, it could be 30 million illegals. A guy from a high-ranking retired official that was in Texas with Border and Customs said that it could be up to 40 million, and he said 60% are sleeper agents, single military males of military age, and other people say 70% of them. So you got millions of them. Let's just put it that way. There's millions of them. And they've been there a long time. I don't know how many people Trump wound up and got deported and got to leave, but I mean, maybe a million, maybe out of 30 million, you know. So if you're a true believer, you'll be leaving on the next great Exodus with the Israelites and go into the wilderness for a stop in the wilderness to enter into the bond of the covenant and pass under the rod and then come into Israel. So you don't have anything to worry about. But the unbelievers is another story altogether. New York City's just part of the daughter of Babylon. That's all. Like San Francisco or Orlando or Miami. That's all. They all the nations don't gather together in New York City. They do. Oh, they gather together. I'm sorry. They do gather um, in the UN, but it's not the capital city. It doesn't have a match, but it will go along with the rest of the country. People have been teaching this since around 2008, I think, big time. It's a tremendous amount of people that already know it. I don't. I don't think I have any questions. I'm having trouble manipulating the iPad. I think I probably need to reboot. Okay, so we got one praise report on the driver's license. Let's see, I got another praise report that just came in. Oh, we prayed for somebody for pain relief a few days ago, and the feedback is the pain got much, much better, which is a good thing. We do get answered prayers. The other scripture you could go through is Isaiah 47. I'll do it. I mean, we did it. Let's just get it all done. All right? Isaiah 47 is not a great big chapter. It's not going to take a long time. It's not as revealing as the other scriptures, but when you add them into the other scriptures and enhances it, it gets good. Come down and sit in the dust, O virgin daughter of Babylon. Sit on the ground. There is no throne, O daughter of the Chaldeans. You see the female thing going on? Okay. For thou shalt no more be called tender and delicate. Take the millstone. Now, this is not an easy thing to explain to people, but this Statue of Liberty is likely a transgender individual. they refer to this as a male to female. And Satan prefers his chosen to be that way. Enough on that. Take the millstones and grind meat, uncover thy locks. But it refers to her as a female, though, here. So maybe I'm wrong about that, but maybe I'm not. I don't know. It says, "O virgin daughter," so it probably is a real female because it says that. But the part about Satan preferring transgenders that's real. Thou shalt no more be called tender and delicate. Take the millstones and grind meal. So she's being reduced from royalty to, a regular common person. Uncover thy locks, make bare the leg, uncover the thigh, pass through the river, like a poor person. Thy nakedness shall be uncovered, yea, thy shame shall be seen. See, this could be transgender, you get it? I will take vengeance and will not meet thee as a man. The Lord's going to go after her, but not as a man, but as God. As for our Redeemer, think of Year of Redemption, Jehovah of Hosts is his name, the Holy One of Israel. Sit thou silent and get thee into darkness, O daughter of the Chaldeans. For thou shalt, darkness could mean the grid is out, right? For thou shalt no more be called the Lady of Kingdoms. Okay, she's not running the earth, okay? I was wroth with my people. I have polluted my inheritance and have given them into thine hand. Thou didst show them no mercy. Upon the ancient hast thou very heavily laid thy yoke. Now, that could be referring to the North American Indians, Trail of Tears, the Indian Wars, the persecution. It's well thought by many people that they are lost tribes, and I believe that. And thou saidst, I shall be, and Satan would know that, and that could be the reason for them persecuting the North American Indians, which would run up into Canada and stuff, And thou saidst, I shall be a lady forever, so that thou didst not lay these things to thy heart, neither didst remember the latter end of it. Therefore, hear now this, thou that are given to pleasures, that dwellest carelessly, that sayest in thy heart, I am and none else besides me, and none else beside me. I shall not sit a widow, neither shall know the loss of children. See, this is Trump's attitude now. He can do whatever he wants, all at the same time. Watch. These people are going to be so sorry they ever heard the name Trump in a very short period of time. But these two things shall come to thee in a moment, in one day. It's going to happen fast, in a moment, in one day. The loss of children. The loss of children are the satanic followers. And widowhood. Widowhood married to the land. The land is destroyed. They shall come upon thee in their perfection, for the multitude of thy sorceries. What are the sorceries? Well, the television, the motion picture industry, the entertainment, the music industry, the governments, the news shows, all of it. They're doing witchcraft all the time. The sorceries, and for the great abundance of thy enchantments. For thou hast trusted in thy wickedness. Thou hast said, none seeth me. Thy wisdom and thy knowledge. It hath perverted thee, and thou hast said in thy heart, I am, and none else beside me. Yeah, greatest place in the world. That's how they think about it. The blind. Therefore shall evil, spiritually blind, therefore shall evil come upon thee. Thou shalt not know from whence it riseth, and mischief shall fall upon thee. Thou shalt not be able to put it off. It'll fall on thee suddenly, which thou shalt not know. Keeps coming out of nowhere to America. Stand now with thy enchantments and with the multitude of thy sorceries, wherein thou hast labored from thy youth. If so be thou shalt be able to profit, if so be thou mayest prevail. Thou art wearied in the multitude of thy counsels. It says, behold, they shall be stubble in the fire. I'm sorry, it said they shall be stubble, the fire shall burn them. They shall not deliver themselves from the power of the flame. There shall not be a coal to warm at, nor fire to sit before. So I think they're going to be in darkness. They're going to kind of be like the Egyptians with Moses and Aaron, where they couldn't light a fire or a coal in their house, but at the same time, they're also going to get burned up. So it's the fire that's going to get them. And what do? They go out and buy guns and bullets, not fire extinguishers. But you can't beat God. It's a joke. You got to get out or you're going to die there. There's no beating him. Thus shall they be unto thee with whom thou hast labored, even thy merchants from thy youth. They shall wander every one to his quarter. None shall save thee. They're not going to make it. They're not going to make it. That's pretty much what you need to know about the daughter of Babylon. It pops up here and there, but you got Zechariah 2, Isaiah 47, Jeremiah 50, 51, and that covers it rather good, I think, And you add in Revelation 17 and 18, and there you go. So, see if we got anything in the chat that needs attending to. All right, so that knocked me out pretty good. My gum's better. A little bit last night it seemed to inflame, but it's pretty flat right now. Wouldn't mind more prayer for my gums to stay good. They're good. To pray they stay good. I'd appreciate that prayer. And I think I told you Beulah chewed through her harness. So I don't want to hook the cable to her choke collar where the ring is where it chokes her, so I just run it under her choke collar. So kind of keeps her there, but I think she might be able to slip out. I think we have some big leather collars here for her somewhere. I gotta find them or call my wife and ask where they are. I think I might be able to find them. That might solve the problem. So I certainly don't want to choke her, but I don't want to see her start running wild in the streets either. Oh, she's a handful. She's in the house. She's the sweetest dog. She's such a great dog. But okay, so prayers for Beulah not to run away and be good would be helpful. And so please pray for me and my wife. Pray for our peace, safety, protection, joy, and healing of our bodies, both old and busted up, and we need it. Thank you for it. Pray for our finances. We always need help there. Pray for our animals and pets to be happy, healthy, and whole. They're all rescues. Beulah was a rescue. Pray for the peace of Jerusalem. Pray for the Lord to give me more revelations about prophecy and things in the scriptures. That would be helpful to us. Appreciate it. And so I send my shalom, because Shabbat shalom, to all those who love Yeshua HaMashiach. And I hope you got something out of this. It'd be nice if you hit the thumbs up and subscribe. And that's what I got for today. And I am out. By the way, there's so much news for Telegram, I'm trying to abbreviate it now. This is just so much. I mean, so I'm trying to streamline it on the Telegram. Okay, I'm out.